Which MCU villain is the absolute best MCU villain in the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe? Of course, today I'm going to be ranking all 24 villains from the Marvel Cinematic Universe in today's video. How's it going, Webheads? My name is Ryan Walsh, and if you guys like the MCU and you guys want more videos on all that stuff, definitely consider subscribing to Webhead and turning on that bell notification so you guys don't miss a thing. So let's really get into this ranking, guys. Of course, I'm going to be going from number 24 to number 1. 24, of course, is the villain I like the least. And then, of course, number 1 is the best MCU villain. Of course, this is my opinion. This entire list is my opinion. But let's jump right into it. And at number 24, I have Malekith, the Dark Elf from Thor: The Dark World. I thought he was the absolute worst MCU villain there was. Just because he got beat by Thor's mom. That's a big part of it. I mean, if you get beat by Thor's mom and you have to take on Thor, that's kind of a problem. That's a big problem right there. You're not really a big threat, in my opinion. He basically got beat halfway through the movie, and still when he had the ether, the reality stone within the movie, he still wasn't that big of a deal. At number 23, I have the Sovereign from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Now, the Sovereign definitely were underused in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I feel like they just showed up whenever there was a battle going on, and that's all there really was. They didn't really do anything. We didn't really learn anything about them, except for they were just jerks. They were jerks because they were jerks. That was it. And they thought themselves above everybody else. At number 22, I have Caecilius. Now, Caecilius, he was in the Doctor Strange movie, and I personally thought we were going to get a lot more of Caecilius in this movie, and I was actually very disappointed with this villain because, one, we had Mads Mikkelsen actually playing this character, and he is this top-notch actor, and he plays always a really good villain, so I was really excited to see him in this movie, but we didn't really get much from him. He was just kind of a guy serving Dormammu and really just leading towards Dormammu for like a different movie, a different Doctor Strange movie, and I personally thought he was just really just a big plot device just to keep it going, and I felt like we could have gotten a lot more from the Ancient One and Caecilius relationship, but we never got that in the movie, so that's why he falls at number 22 on my list. At number 21, I have the Frost Giants. Now, the Frost Giants definitely played a big part in the original Thor movie, but in my opinion, they kind of lacked a little bit because I feel like they were really just used as characters for Thor to really toss around and kind of kill, so that you can really see the power of Thor in the first Thor movie. So for the movie, it kind of worked, but really looking at, like, say, Laffy, the king of the Frost Giants, you didn't really get much from him. We didn't really get to know his character at all. So I actually was hoping we would have gotten that in that movie, but we never really did, and I kind of thought he was just a one-dimensional villain. At number 20, we have Alger Killian from Iron Man 3. Now, I did not hate this villain. I thought he was kind of a fail from the start because what you were really leading to was the Mandarin in this movie, but then you kind of did a bait and switch, and you did a twist in the movie, and you had Alger Killian actually become the Mandarin, but he was really just the villain. And we kind of did get a little bit of motivation for him, like why he actually wanted to do this, why he wanted to take down Tony Stark. It made sense. I definitely got that, and that's why he's a little bit higher on the list. At number 19, I have Whiplash from Iron Man 2. Now, Whiplash definitely was an underused villain in my opinion, and I felt as though they could have done a lot better with that character. We did get to see a little bit of Anton Vanko and his motivations behind why he wants to take down Tony Stark, a lot like Alger Killian. We did get that kind of motivation behind the characters, and I personally thought putting him in a giant Iron Man suit was really just copying what you did in the first movie. Didn't really have me jumping for joy when I saw him. When he showed up in a giant CGI Iron Man suit, I kind of was just like, okay, I mean, he just did the same thing as the first one, so that's why he's in number 19. At number 18, I have The Other. Now, of course, The Other did not play a big part within the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but he did play a small part, and of course, he was the one that actually went to Thanos for everything. At the post-credit scene of the Avengers movie, and he actually played a part of giving Loki the scepter and giving Loki the Chitauri army to go actually fight the Battle of New York with all the Chitauri. So he did play a part right in there, and then of course in Guardians of the Galaxy, you can see him getting killed by Ronan the Accuser. We didn't really get much time with him, and we didn't really get much about him. We didn't learn anything about him, so he was a mysterious villain. I think that actually is something cool about him, but at the same time, he was so easily killed by Ronan that it doesn't really even matter. At number 17 is Crossbones. Now, Crossbones didn't really show up until Captain America Civil War, but I will also be including the Winter Soldier as well, because he was just Frank Rumlow in that entire movie. But I did like his character. I thought he actually was pretty cool. I did like seeing him in his actual Crossbones outfit. I thought he was awesome, and it made sense why he was going after Captain America, and I liked how he was actually Hydra within the Winter Soldier, and I did like how he was actually allies with Captain America throughout the entire Winter Soldier movie until like the ending of the movie. I like that about him. Yeah, he was close to his enemy, but of course when Hydra started taking over S.H.I.E.L.D., he basically was turning on everybody, and I like how they didn't just use him for one movie and kill him off like they could have. Instead, they kind of put him the beginning of Civil War, and that's how that entire movie starts. At number 16, I have Justin Hammer from Iron Man 2. Now, Justin Hammer was a better villain in my eyes than Whiplash in this movie. I thought Justin Hammer did a better job as a villain. Now, he isn't an intimidating villain or anything like that, but it did make sense for his character to actually turn out to be a villain, if you want to say that, in this entire movie, because of course, Tony Stark and Stark Industries is his competition. He wants to create an Iron Man suit, and he needs to hire someone to do it. So I did like that, and I did like how he actually hired Whiplash to make his machines, and then of course he would actually just try to beat the Iron Man suit and try to be better than that. At number 15, I have Yellow Jacket. Now, Yellow Jacket definitely was like a one-dimensional villain. He wasn't that great, but I felt as though we got a lot of time with him throughout the entire Ant-Man movie. I thought he was actually pretty good. I didn't think he was that bad. I definitely think he's better than most of the villains on this list. I like how he was actually taking over Pym Industries, and he was actually developing a new Ant-Man suit, and I like how he figured it out. I do like that because it shows how smart he actually is. He's not just a dumb character, but then when he actually got into the suit, I personally thought that's when he actually went down as a villain, and I felt as though he was just fighting Ant-Man because Ant-Man actually has to fight somebody within this movie, and that's all he was really used for the second half of the movie. At number 14, I have Ronan the Accuser from Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, I definitely am one of the people that actually like Ronan the Accuser a lot more than other people. I thought he was really cool, and I can't wait to see him in Captain Marvel. But at the same time, I have to say right off the bat that he's not that great of a villain. He really is just there to be there, and he's bad because he's bad. That's all we really know about him, and he's just, I don't know if he's allied with the Kree or if he isn't, because in the comic books, he is very much allied with the Kree, and the Kree are very violent. But they don't really do that in this movie. They just kind of say Ronan's by himself. He's with the Sicarian soldiers. He's not even with the Kree soldiers. So I didn't really get his character, but I thought he was actually pretty cool, and I did like to see Ronan the Accuser on screen. At number 13, I have the Black Order. Now, the Black Order were, of course, in the newest movie, Avengers Infinity War, and I thought each member actually did pretty good in their roles, especially Ebony Maw and Proximity of Midnight. Those are the two characters you definitely got to see the most, and you got a lot out of them. Of course, you weren't going to go into their backstories or anything like that. They were really used as secondary characters, and I included them on this list because I thought they were actually pretty good villains. They definitely filled their roles very well. They did exactly what they're supposed to do, and we got a little bit more from them. I thought Ebony Maw was definitely the standout. He was really cool. I liked it when the movie actually started and you hear Ebony Maw, you're about to be killed by Thanos, and it's a good thing that you're being killed by Thanos. It's like a blessing. I thought that was really cool and definitely made me fear them a little bit more, especially when the Avengers were on screen because they were pretty powerful, especially Ebony Maw. At number 12, the Abomination. Now, the Abomination, or Emil Blonsky, that character actually did a pretty good job in my opinion. I liked seeing his evolution throughout the entire movie of being a soldier, seeing the Incredible Hulk for the first time, understanding that power and seeing exactly what it could do, and then of course he wanting that power and he goes crazy over it, and how he actually becomes a super soldier, kind of like Captain America, and then he actually becomes the Abomination. I love that fight between the Hulk and the Abomination at the end of the movie. I thought it was really cool, and it definitely made sense that this character, this soldier, definitely would be one to turn on everybody else, because they definitely developed that at the beginning of the movie. In my eyes, I thought he was actually really well done, and it made sense for his transformation to be the Abomination, be the villain of the movie. At number 11, I have Ultron. Now, Ultron, in my opinion, was a big disappointment from what I actually expected from the villain from the second Avengers movie, but at the same time, I can't put him down. He actually was still a pretty good villain. You understood exactly what he was trying to do and why he was actually trying to do it. He was trying to evolve because he thought the end of days were coming, and he was very much right. He actually was right about what actually was coming. So I did understand his character. I personally just didn't like that he's made by Tony Stark and he acted so much like Tony Stark. Because if you look at the comic books, he's a completely different character. He's cold and calculated and based off of very much Hank Pym instead of Tony Stark. So I didn't like the Tony Stark aspect of him, but I did think he was a pretty decent villain. At number 10, I have Ironmonger. I think Ironmonger is completely underrated villain. I really did like Ironmonger, obviously, throughout the entire movie, and especially when he put on the suit. I thought he definitely was a big challenge for Tony Stark when he actually was fighting off against Ironmonger, and I did like that Obadiah Stane actually had a lot connection with Tony Stark, where he's known Tony since he was a little kid, and he's known Howard Stark forever, and Obadiah Stane and Howard Stark have been partners ever since Stark Industries actually started up. So I really like that about this. So I did like Ironmonger a lot. At number 9, I have Baron Zemo from Captain America Civil War. This definitely was an interesting villain in my opinion. A lot of people think that the villain was just used as a plot device, and I can't disagree with people on that. I personally thought he was a little bit more than that. He was definitely a better villain than most of what we actually got from the MCU, especially when he's basically just pinning other Avengers together. He's not the classic villain where he's going to take them all on. No, he's pinning them all together, and he's actually doing a really good job at it. He's pinning everybody together. He's having all the heroes fight each other because he knows he can't do it himself. And we get that backstory of what happened in Sokovia from some of the events from Age of Ultron and stuff like that. I really like this character, and I like how he deals with all of what Civil War is actually trying to get across to the viewers. Really just everything that the heroes have done in the past definitely comes back to bite them, because all of that destruction, all the people that actually do die. At number 8, I have Ego, the Living Planet from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Now, I actually thought Ego was really cool, especially because he was the father of Star-Lord, but also, if you really look at Ego, he only kills women and children, it looks like. He wants to take over the entire universe, of course, like everybody does, but he actually has a reason for doing it. He is a celestial being, so it makes sense that he's going to take over the universe, rather than just like some random villain from Earth or something like that is going to take over the entire universe. No, this character actually has a purpose for doing it, and to him, this actually is his destiny to do this. At number 7, I have Hela from Thor Ragnarok. Now, Hela definitely was a little underused than I wanted to see her. I still thought she was an awesome villain. I really had fun with the character of Hela. I thought Cate Blanchett played a great Hela. She did such a good job with this character. A lot better than what the comic books usually offered. I thought there was a lot to Hela. I liked that she was related to Thor, and I like how she was the daughter of Odin. It made sense of how powerful she was and where she came from, and I liked that she actually broke Thor's hammer, and every single time she was on screen, you were kind of like, holy crap, Thor could die at any moment. And I did like that about that character, so that's why she's at number 7 on the list. At number 6, I have the Red Skull. Now, the Red Skull definitely was a standout villain in my opinion. I thought he was really cool, and I thought he was really well done by Hugo Weaving, and I liked how he portrayed him. And then, of course, from what we saw in Infinity War, I like what they're doing with the Red Skull character, and I hope he comes back and it becomes a giant Captain America and Avengers villain, because he is one of those characters that is a big deal. He is one of the biggest villains in the whole Marvel Universe. So I hope he comes back, but for what we've actually been given, I do like his whole backstory. I like how he's related to Captain America. I like how he got the Super Soldier Serum, and it did scar him for life, and I like how he's going after the Infinity Stones. Everything about this character I really liked, and I can't say that we got a lot of fighting with him, which isn't a bad thing, but I wish we got a little bit more fighting with the Red Skull, because I think I really want to see how powerful this character actually was. At number 5, we have the Winter Soldier. Now, the Winter Soldier definitely was one of the best villains, but of course he got turned into a hero because he's still Bucky Barnes. But when he was the Winter Soldier, he was so cool, and in all of the scenes that he was in for the Winter Soldier, he definitely took on Falcon, Black Widow, and Captain America, like at the same time with a bunch of Hydra guys, but it was mainly him taking them all out on that highway scene, and I thought he was so cool fighting Captain America and Black Widow. I really liked how he was done, and I liked how he was brainwashed by Hydra, and now he's coming in to take on his old pal, Captain America. I thought that was really well done in that movie. At number 4, I have Michael Keaton's Vulture. Now, Michael Keaton, of course, definitely played an awesome Vulture character. He made a lot of sense in the movie. I love the backstory with that character. I love how you see that he actually does have a family. Best twist in any Marvel movie, in my opinion. I love the twist of when actually the girl that Peter's dating and her dad actually is the Vulture. I love that whole twist within the movie. I never saw that coming. I love the way they did that, and I do like how we got a lot of backstory from the Vulture, and I can't wait to see him in future Spider-Man movies. At number 3, I have Killmonger from Black Panther. Now, Killmonger was definitely one of the most well-done MCU villains. He was really good because really just like his whole backstory and the whole meaning behind his character and what he actually meant. I totally understood what he was trying to do. I totally understand what he was trying to go for in that movie, and you can't really disagree with his reasoning. What he's saying actually does make a lot of sense, but at the same time, it's completely crazy, and you just don't do that. That's just an extremist view. I thought Michael B. Jordan did an awesome job portraying Killmonger, and I like how he actually did die at the end. I wish they would keep most villains, but I liked how he died because it made sense for his character. At number 2, I have Loki. Now, Loki and Killmonger, I definitely went back and forth on, but Loki is just Loki. He's so cool. I love seeing him throughout this entire MCU. He's been there since the first Thor movie, and now, of course, he dies in the Infinity War movie, and that's probably the last movie with him, but he still could have shown up in Avengers 4. But I think it's really cool how you see this entire arc of Loki where he is battling within himself, really not knowing exactly who he is. He really just doesn't know if he's a frost giant or an Asgardian at first throughout the entire Thor movie, but then when he finds out, he just turns all bad and he just wants to take over the world, and then he goes back to being this character of wanting to please Odin, and he wants to be pleasing Thor and all the Asgardians, but at the same time, he's still a little bit evil, and he plays that side really well. I really like the way they've handled Loki throughout this entire MCU, and I hope they handle a lot more villains just like him. And then, of course, at number 1, this is definitely the biggest, the baddest villain. You understand his motivations. You can definitely see what he's saying throughout all of this entire movie, but of course, it's still a psychopath view, and that is Thanos. Thanos is an awesome villain, definitely my favorite in the MCU. I can't say enough about him because he's so awesome. But guys, if you like this video, definitely consider checking out the 2 videos below me. I think you guys would really enjoy on the MCU. Definitely consider subscribing right over to Webhead so you guys get more videos on the MCU and more stuff on Avengers 4. But guys, thank you very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Bye-bye.